Hello, and welcome back to the Empowered Parent Podcast, where we talk about parenting, learning differences, and finding peace and purpose along the way. I'm Jess Arce, your host, and today's episode is about the question I get all the time. Is my child quirky, or is there something deeper going on? Maybe your smart, creative child is funny and a great conversationalist. The kind of kid who surprises adults with their wit and big ideas. They might tell stories that keep everyone at the table laughing or ask questions that make you pause and think. However, when it comes to schoolwork, things may not be the same. Things just might not click, like reading turns into a struggle, math ends in tears, and writing, sometimes looks more like a secret code than actually what's going on in their head. This can be confusing for parents. Believe me, I know, because I have 4 neurodiverse children, and we know that our kids are smart and we can't understand why they're struggling. So what's going on, you might wonder? Believe it or not, their quirkiness might be a clue. Every child has some quirks. Maybe it's the way they set up their toys, they sing songs to remember things, or spend hours drawing entire worlds from their imagination. Those traits can be adorable, funny, and sometimes puzzling. When my oldest son was little, he had a thing for Vienna sausages. He loved them. And before he could eat them, he would set them all up perfectly, lined up side by side every time. It didn't matter whether we were running late or whether we were sitting outside having a picnic. Those little sausages had to get lined up in order first. I clearly remember one time when he was about 4 and he lined them up on the kitchen floor and then proceeded to eat them. At first, I thought it was a funny little habit, something that made him him. And honestly, it was adorable. However, looking back, I realized how those small routines, that this was part of his autism. When those quirks start to show up in the classroom as frustrations, confusion, and total avoidance, it might be time to take a closer look at what's going on. Maybe your child tells the best stories, nevertheless struggles to read even the simplest sentence. Or they can explain every detail of a movie, however, they can't memorize a multiplication fact, no matter how hard they try. Or perhaps they sound like a little philosopher, yet their writing looks like a tornado of letters and eraser marks all over the page. Here's the thing, these differences aren't about motivation or discipline. They are about how their brain processes information. And once we understand this, everything changes. One of the hardest things for parents to understand is that a child can be bright and struggle in school at the same time. It feels contradictory. They're curious, articulate, and creative. However, their grades or test scores don't show it. Here's why. Kids with dyslexia, dysgraphia, or dyscalculia often use different pathways in their brain when learning. Their mind handles information in creative, non-linear ways. Like they may jump from a big idea straight to the detailed solution, skipping all the middle steps that most people perform. It can look scattered from the outside. However, inside, their brain is connecting ideas in amazing and unexpected ways. Traditional classrooms often expect every child to learn the same way. However, some kids don't fit into that mold. 3 of my 4 did not. They might need more movement, more hands-on learning, or extra time to process information. That's one reason why homeschooling can be a great gift. It lets you meet your child where they are. For instance, a child with dyslexia might think in vivid colors and pictures instead of words. A child with dysgraphia might know exactly what they want to say. However, getting the words on paper feels impossible. A child with dyscalculia might understand big mathematical ideas, nevertheless lose track of numbers or sequencing. Once you start seeing the patterns through the lens of their learning challenges or learning differences, instead of seeing it as defiance or laziness, everything starts to click. So what does this look like day to day? Here's a few signs of those quirkinesses that might mean something deeper is going on. They avoid specific academic tasks like reading, spelling, writing, or doing math. They forget letters, sight words, or math facts that they just learned. They have strong verbal abilities, yet they have inconsistent academic performance. Mysterious headaches or stomach aches before or during school. Saying things like, "I'm dumb," or "I just can't do it." If you're nodding your head, please know you're not alone. Many parents, including myself, have been exactly where you are, wondering if they're imagining things or missing something important. When kids work twice as hard for half the results, it takes a toll. They may start to mask their struggles, crack jokes to hide their embarrassment, or shut down completely. I'll never forget a student I once had. He was only in kindergarten, such a bright and funny young man, full of personality, and his mom would tell me how he would have everyone in stitches with his silly jokes in school. It seemed like he just loved making people laugh. However, as I got to know him, I realized that humor was his shield. He wasn't trying to be disruptive. He was trying to protect himself. He would rather be seen as the class clown than have anyone notice that he had a hard time with reading and spelling. It broke my heart because underneath that laughter was a child who already felt less than at just age 5. As we worked together and he started learning to read and spell more confidently, something amazing happened. He didn't need that humor to be his armor anymore. His jokes were still there, of course, because that was part of who he was. However, they came from joy and not from hiding. Watching his confidence grow reminded me that when we give kids the right tools and understanding, they no longer have to perform to cover their pain. They just can be themselves. If something feels off, trust your gut. You know your child better than anyone else does. I've spoken to so many parents who listened to teachers or administrators who said, "Let's wait and see if they grow out of it." Those recommendations usually come from a good place. However, waiting rarely helps. It actually can do more harm than help. If your child is struggling with dyslexia, they won't simply outgrow it. And the sooner they receive the right support, the better it is for everyone, your child, your peace of mind, and your whole family dynamics. Early intervention can change everything. At 3D Learning Experts, we provide that support, the kind of specialized, evidence-based help schools often can't offer. Yes, it's an investment. Nonetheless, it is one that pays off in confidence, skills, and family harmony. When your child begins to read, write, and learn with pride, it changes everything for them and for you. A comprehensive evaluation, whether through your school district or a private specialist, can identify learning challenges like dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. That evaluation doesn't define your child. It gives you a roadmap. It shows how their brain works, how they process information, and what kind of support will help them thrive. Think of it like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you're not guessing anymore, you're guiding. Once you have that understanding, the next step is finding the right instruction, evidence-based multisensory approaches designed for the way your child learns. Programs like Orton Gillingham are truly life-changing. They teach through sight, sound, touch, and movement, building genuine reading skills instead of relying on memorization. It's not fast, it's powerful. Consistency, patience, and the right guidance make all the difference. At 3D Learning Experts, we provide instruction and support in all these areas: reading, writing, spelling, and math, using research-based multisensory methods tailored specifically to how each student learns best. Our goal is to help your child master essential skills while arming them with the tools they need to become independent, confident learners. When students gain these tools, everything shifts. They begin to see themselves as capable, resourceful, and ready to take on new challenges with pride. Here's the beautiful part of it. When kids are supported in the way their brain learns best, their confidence returns. They stop seeing themselves as broken and start realizing they simply learn differently. That realization changes everything for them and for you. Your calm, your belief, your patience becomes the anchor that steady them through the storm. They will mirror your energy. Hence, when you believe they can succeed, they start to believe it too. So let's take a look back at the word quirky again for a second. Quirky doesn't mean odd. It means original, creative, and full of potential. Some of the world's most innovative thinkers, artists, and inventors had learning challenges that made school difficult for them. However, life extraordinary. People like Thomas Edison, Walt Disney, and Steven Spielberg. They each struggled with traditional school, yet went on to change the world with their unique imagination. When you nurture these differences instead of trying to fix them, your child learns to see their brain as something to celebrate, not to hide. So is your child quirky, or is something deeper going on? Maybe both. And that's okay. Their unique personality and their struggles can coexist, and both deserve to be met with understanding, not judgment. You don't have to have all the right answers right now. You just need curiosity, compassion, and courage to take the next step. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode spoke to your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with other parents who might be asking the same question. And remember, you don't have to figure this out alone. There's real help, real hope, and real change waiting for your child. If you're ready to take the next step, schedule a consultation call with me at 3dlearningexperts.com/consult and let your child receive the support they need to thrive, both in school and in life.